All right, guys. So the mainstream liberal media once again is calling for Tucker Carlson to be taken off air because he has opinions that they don't like. And this time, the opinion that they don't like is that Tucker is advocating for the U.S. not to go to war with Russia over Ukraine. Yes, the mainstream liberal media is upset with Tucker Carlson because he's saying, listen, I don't want to lose American lives and expend valuable resources trying to protect a country that has no strategic purpose for us. And for whatever reason, the mainstream liberal media, again, got triggered by that to the point where CNN, in this case, is calling for Tucker Carlson to be taken off air for saying that. Take a look.
In the meantime, as tensions are ratcheting up between Russia and Ukraine, one Democratic congressman says his office is getting phone calls, repeatedly getting these phone calls, and they're from fans of Fox's chief propagandist, Tucker Carlson, saying that the U.S. should be siding with Russia over Ukraine. What, you may say? Well, you wouldn't be surprised if you watched his pro-Russia stance every night.
All of them are promoting war against Russia on behalf of our new and deeply beloved ally, the government of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is our most dangerous enemy, they scream. We can't let him hurt Ukraine. So it turns out Russiagate was actually more effective even than we'd realized. The Steele dossier has been debunked, but in Washington, the theme remains in force. Russia, 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 Russia is bad. Apparently, Ukraine's eastern border with Russia, unlike, say, our southern border with Mexico, is a sacred boundary created by God that must be protected at all costs, up to and including American lives. Why is it disloyal to side with Russia, but loyal to side with Ukraine? They're both foreign countries that don't care anything about the United States. Kind of strange.
Easy answer there. One's a democracy, the other's a brutal autocracy. The real question here may be, why is Rupert Murdoch allowing this anti-democratic BS on the air there? Let's talk about all of this now with Democratic Congressman Tom Malinowski of New Jersey. He is on the House Foreign Affairs and Homeland Security Committees, among others. First, sir, and thank you for being with us this morning. Can you just tell us about these phone calls that your office is getting?
Yeah, sure. It really started yesterday. I was in my district office in New Jersey, and phones were ringing, and my district director came to me and said, I just spent an hour on the phone with like 4 people telling me that they'd watched Tucker Carlson last night, and why are we going to be going to war for Ukraine? Russia's making reasonable proposals for peace, and we should just do what Russia wants. And I knew this. I knew this was happening. I've actually had many conversations with Republican colleagues in the House of Representatives about what's happening on Fox with respect to Russia. But this was the first time I started feeling it from my own constituents who were watching this garbage.
Guys, ain't it crazy how we have a U.S. congressman that will go on TV and basically tell the world that, hey, I don't like the fact that my constituents are calling me, telling me about their concerns, right? I don't like it. Okay, that's what he's saying. As a politician, regardless of what your constituents' concerns are, you're supposed to want to hear them out, right? And to consider what they're saying, not go on TV and basically, berate them, okay, or accuse them of falling for propaganda for Tucker Carlson because they don't want this country to go to war over Ukraine, okay? And, Brianna Keilar here goes out to Tucker Carlson and basically tries to say that, hey, the reason why we should be defending Ukraine from Russia, okay, aka potentially sacrifice American lives over Ukraine is, well, Russia is an autocracy and Ukraine is a democracy. As if the government, right, and how their leaders are elected actually really matters, right? As if the U.S. government gives a damn about that at all, because we don't, right? We don't. If we gave a damn about democracy abroad, why the hell are we allies with Saudi Arabia, right? Why the hell are we allies with Saudi Arabia? Because honestly, it's not about that. It's never been about democracy. That's what they say in order to try to make it sound good for the laymen, right? But what every single war is always about is resources, right? That's what it's about. It's about resources. That is why we are allies with Saudi Arabia, because oil, right? That's why. Resources. Strategic military location, all kinds of stuff like that. Same thing with Ukraine, right? The whole issue with Ukraine is simply that we don't want Russia to grab Ukraine, which basically allows them to strategically place their military, their missiles, a whole bunch of other military assets closer to Europe, right? Closer to NATO, okay? It's really that simple. Because otherwise, outside of that, the only person that has any real interest in Ukraine is Hunter Biden, right? Hunter Biden, that's it. So again, I agree with Tucker Carlson on this. Why are we considering doing all this stuff in response to what Russia is doing? Okay, I mean, we're talking about sending 8,500 troops to Ukraine, okay, as support. Right now, that might not necessarily be war, but you're still putting American troops' lives in danger for a country that, again, I just really don't know if it's worth losing any lives over, right? I just don't know if that's the case. But Tucker Carlson here, at the heart of what he's saying is anti-war. He's saying, I don't want to go to war. I don't want to lose American lives over this stuff. Now, whether or not we'll actually go to war with Russia is highly unlikely, okay? I believe in MAD, right? I believe in mutual assured destruction. That's why I don't believe that war is likely with two nuclear nations, right? Not a direct war. Now, we'll get into proxy wars, right? Like, we're currently in a proxy war with Russia, you know, in Syria and other parts of the Middle East. Yeah, we'll do that all day, right? Because the people that are dying, neither side really cares about, okay? And they don't have nukes. So, yeah, we'll do that all day. But in terms of direct conflict, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do agree overall with what Tucker's saying in the sense that getting involved in general requires resources. Okay, we have to send weapons to Ukraine. We have to send support to them. You know, we're sending troops, right? We have to expend valuable resources that can be used here in this country to protect our own border, trying to protect somebody else's border. Okay? And the American people are getting tired of it. They're getting tired of us ignoring our own problems to try to help out other people who don't give a damn about us, right? Just because we don't want Russia to invade Ukraine and to potentially rebuild back the old Soviet Union, right? Which is what Putin wants, right? He was disappointed, right? He expressed criticism over the fact that, you know, the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 90s. He didn't like that. So obviously he wants to restore some of that, okay? He wants to grab some land, okay? And speaking of land grabs and this aggression from Russia, ain't it funny how the mainstream liberal media spent time calling Trump a puppet of Russia, a puppet of Putin? When Trump was in office, Putin did not dare try this, right? He did not dare try to invade Ukraine. Now, all of a sudden, Biden gets in office, troops are pulling up to the border, right? Invasion is imminent. Well, why is that? Because Biden is actually the puppet of Putin, right? That is the real puppet. Because Biden is weak. Putin, when it came to Trump, was like, hey, real recognize real, right? You crazy, I'm crazy, I'm not going to try you, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. Because we know what Trump would do, okay? Look what he did to Soleimani. He clapped him. When Iran was acting funny in Iraq, you know how Iran responded? They said, we're going to rain missiles of death down on you. You know what they did? They launched missiles, and those missiles fell into the dirt, right? That's what they did. That's what they did. And then they went back and told their people that, hey, we got our revenge. When they didn't do anything. Because they know what's up, right? They know what's up. Putin's like, yeah, I'm not really going to try Trump like that. Even though the mainstream liberal media, if you listen to them, Trump's a puppet, right? Again, you would think that if Trump was a puppet, Putin would have just went all in on Ukraine, kind of like what it appears that he's going to do now, right, under Biden. But again, it shows you that the difference between Trump and Biden is that foreign leaders think that Biden is weak, period. That's why Putin is doing this, because he's like, okay, the U.S., they have a weak president. We just going to pull up, right? We going to pull up. We going to take what is ours, and we going to keep it moving. And they ain't going to do nothing about it, right? Which, hey, listen, at a certain point, I'm like, yeah, we shouldn't do anything about it because I don't want to lose American lives over this. I don't think it's worth it. But at the same time, I just find it fascinating how Putin's willing to do this under Biden, but not under Trump. But Trump was supposed to be Putin's puppet. When, in my opinion, it appears that Biden is actually Putin's puppet. Because Putin appears to not give a damn about Biden. Okay? He's going to do what he wants to do regardless of what Biden says. Again, I find it fascinating how mainstream media is not covering that. How they're not talking about that aspect of why is Putin doing this now and he didn't do this under Trump when Trump and Putin were supposed to be butt buddies. Right? Again, it just shows you that everything that they've been saying about Trump and Putin was just BS, right? It really was. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.